Good morning, everybody. I am Jenny. Welcome to Wake Up with Jenny and Friends. Welcome, my guests, Dallas and Paul. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great. How you doing today?
Good. I'm so excited to have you. Thanks for joining me to co-host today. This is very exciting.
Yeah, it's great to be here, honestly.
It's an honor.
Yeah. And as we found out, you guys are on the West Coast.
Yes, we are. Ooh, let me just adjust that.
Awesome.
Cranking the air conditioning.
Oh, you got the air conditioning going in there.
Yeah, but it's all good. We'll roll through.
Yeah, it must be nice and warm down there. It's starting to get chilly here in Ontario, Canada.
Oh, Ontario. Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's always like sunny and 70. Like it's perfect weather every single day. We're very
So
blessed.
we don't like you.
Yeah, I know. I was like, yeah, Ontario must be nice and well, it's starting to become winter. It's turned into winter time.
Oh, you're in Ontario, California.
Well, Ontario, Canada.
Ah.
Yeah, close though. I didn't know there was an Ontario, California until a couple of years ago. I had bought tickets to this event, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this guy's in Ontario. This is crazy!" And I was like, quickly got the tickets. I was like, "This is amazing!" And then it comes back, and I noticed that it's Ontario, California. I'm like, "What the fuck?"
What was the event?
It was for Joel Osteen. That was.
Oh, I'm a big Joel fan myself.
Are you?
Yeah, I listen to his YouTube channel.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. So how was your weekend, guys? Let's just jump right into it. How was your weekend? What'd you do? Where'd you go? Who'd you see? What'd you do?
You want to start us out?
The weekend was good. I think no matter what, I think in the back of our minds is always boy talks. And I think whatever we're doing, in the back of our minds, we're just thinking about we need to keep building the show. We need to keep building boy talk. But it was good. The weekend was good. Yesterday, I was working on a new a show. So I was working yesterday, which was my Saturday, on a show. I don't think I'm able to disclose what it is. I think it's weird Hollywood rules, but it was good. I mean, weekend's great so far, and today will be a productive day as well. Just keep rolling.
That's awesome. Dallas, how was your weekend?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing because we both work on set pretty much Monday to Friday. So it's always trying to figure out how we can finesse and get as much boy talk work done as possible on the weekends, whether we're recording, editing, or whatnot. And so yesterday was actually a pretty busy day for me. It was my girlfriend's birthday, so we had a special day throughout the city. And are you familiar with the play Hamilton?
Yes, I haven't seen it yet, but
we saw Hamilton. It was good.
How was that?
It was intense. They were dropping bars. They were dropping knowledge, history. It was a lot of information very fast at once.
Wow! And what a production!
Oh my God. Yeah. It was insane. There was 30 people on set at all time. Choreography was it was insane. They must've been training for 2 years.
Crazy. I love theater. I kind of grew up in the theater. So I have such a love for it. I was a dancer for 15 years as well too, and did competitions and all that kind of stuff. So it's the stage is so comfortable for me. And every time I got a chance to go see a Broadway show, it was magic.
It is. It truly is. It's nothing like it. It's insane.
Total experience. So why don't you tell everybody, our listeners, what you do, a little bit about who you are, and let's talk about Boy Talk. I just watched some of your shows on YouTube, and I was in stitches.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I subscribe, so I'm about the drip.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll get started on this one. It was quite a journey, honestly. Because there was the quarantine in 2020 because of COVID-19, and that was a lot of good and a lot of bad. But one good thing that came from it was that we were quarantining at the house and we didn't really know what to do with ourselves. And me and the other guy who runs the show with us, Luca we had a blue backdrop and we started making little videos with it. And then one thing led to another, and eventually we were kind of hosting it. And then we decided to name it Boy Talk. And before you knew it, we had this little mini sketch show called Boy Talk. And it was just from being quarantined and having nothing to do at all. And we just kept on making them. And then we have a good amount of actor friends as well. And they were seeing our videos and we were posting them. They wanted to get involved. And we did a whole entire season 1, and the show was quite different back then too. And Paul, actually, I met going to China for another movie about 2 years ago. And Paul was making his own content. And then me and Paul, I think, ran into each other on set. And I talked to him about BoyTalk, talked to him about his content, and basically he joined the team. And then from there, we just consistently kept on building and building BoyTalk. And now we're in season 2 production. And the amount of like cast members and storylines and everything has just grown so much from what originally started as just 2 of us in front of a green backdrop. And now it's a full on like scripted show. And yeah, it's very exciting. We just bit by bit, as time kept on going, we just kept on getting better and better and growing. And it's all because of literally just quarantine. And it's insane.
So I wanted to ask you actually about that, about it being scripted, because I wasn't sure if it was just sort of like off the cuff, or you make it up as you go along, because it says your description is a sketch comedy show. So I wasn't sure if you were scripting it out. How do you work that? How much is ad lib and how much is script?
Well, like season 1, for instance, we were definitely just figuring out what it is BoyTalk was and what we were doing. So a lot of that was like heavily improvised, but season 2 is all pre-written. It's all written. It's all scripted. And pretty much for the most part, I would say we stick to the script. I mean, we might ad lib a line here or there, or if, a sentence sounds better a different way, we might do that. But full on, pretty much, it's all scripted. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's amazing. I want to ask you a little bit about China too, Paul. But where did the name BoyTalk come from? How did you decide on that?
Oh man, so that was kind of just like an inside joke between Luca. He's my co-host. It was an inside joke that we had about a podcast called BoyTalk, and it was kind of like a Seinfeld concept. It was just like it would be a podcast about basically nothing. We just thought the word BoyTalk was funny, and then we started making these videos, and then we're like, oh my god, let's call it BoyTalk, and it kind of rolls off the tongue, I think.
Yeah, it's an interesting. It draws you in, because when I first saw you guys on Instagram, I thought, BoyTalk, what is this? And then it was like a mash of like comedy sketches and like you guys hanging out and different posts, and it was like so interesting. You kind of have to like really invest to figure out what it is that you guys are doing.
Yeah, that's something we've been working on. I feel like especially recently, like kind of forming the episodes so that like if you watch like season 2 episode 16, like the goal was like you could watch the show with never seen an episode before. But it would be, the goal is to make it easier and easier to where like you could just watch one episode, and in that one episode, just like pick up funny bits along the way, as opposed to like having to like memorize like an entire storyline and like, get all the things. Like you could watch any episode, one episode, and just enjoy it. So that's kind of what we're building towards as well. And then, yeah, we met in China. So I went to film school at Temple University, go Owls. And then I graduated, and they had a program in Los Angeles where you could go and study in Los Angeles. We were taking classes at Raleigh Studios in Hollywood. And then I graduated, and I decided to stay in Los Angeles because I always dreamed of being, like working in the film industry, being a movie director, doing all that stuff. And then I was working, and then so I ended up like doing a lot of stuff as like an extra, and then I got a job, ended up working as like an accountant, and it sucked. And I thought I was like, oh, I got a good job now, I'm an accountant, but it was like terrible. So then what got me out of the accounting job was I booked a gig in China, which was supposed to be 4 months. We were supposed to be in China for 4 months filming this movie. We were playing US soldiers, and that's where I met Dallas. And we met in China, but it was like very casual. It was just like, oh yeah, hey, nice to meet you, whatever. We were only in China for 2 weeks before the pandemic hit.
Oh, wow.
So
how was that?
It was terrifying. So we flew out.
Yeah.
So we flew out January 15th. And then about 1.5 weeks in, they're like, hey guys, there were 70 of us that they flew out as well. And we were like very like far northeast China, like 35 miles from North Korea. And they were like, hey, so you guys, we're gonna pause the production temporarily. There's a little virus going on.
Yeah,
so no further notice. Right, and then we were like, "Oh, that's kind of scary. Like, there's a virus going on. Oh, whatever."
Sounds fake to us at the time.
Right, we like didn't believe it. But then I started getting calls from like my parents. They're like, "Hey, like, you should get out of China." And I was like, "What?" And then suddenly, a few days later, they're like, "Okay, production's canceled. We're shipping everybody back. This virus is like spreading like crazy." And we were like, "Oh my god!" So then we flew back. We probably brought COVID back with us to the United States, like just, you know.
Congratulations.
Off the record.
Off the record. I mean, we'll never know if we did.
Yeah, nobody watches this show. Don't worry about it.
Right. Suddenly, like the FBI like is knocking on the door.
They're like, wait, no, they said off the record. It's fine.
Oh, it's off the record. It doesn't count. And then everything shut down, and I decided with one of my buddies, we did a series called Man of Action, and we were working on that. And then I think like I also noticed that Dallas, because we were friends on Facebook and Instagram, so I noticed that he was doing Boy Talk. He noticed I was doing Man of Action, and then he was like, "Hey, do you want to?" And this is the funny way is my way into Boy Talk was as an extra. He was like, "Hey, can you be an extra in this scene in Boy Talk?" And I was like, "I mean, yeah, I guess I'll be like an extra in like your web show. Like, sure." I was like, you know,
almost like an insult.
I know. I was like, no, I'm pretty good at video.
I'll help you out.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty good at video production, but if you just need me as an extra, like, I'll just be an extra. Like, that's fine. And then it ended up being like, I worked that one day as an extra. I was like, all right, that's cool, whatever. And I thought that would be like the last thing I ever do with Boy Talk, but it was fine. You know what I mean? It was whatever. And then maybe like 2 months later, like Dallas calls again, and he's like, hey, do you want to be in this like short sketch? It was like this 30-second thing called Captain's Log. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. Why not? Like if it's me on screen, like whatever, that sounds fun. And then I made it. I told Dallas, I was like, hey, Dallas, like, if you want, I like the idea for Captain's Log. Like, I can edit the videos and we can shoot it on my camera. And then if you want, like, that'll take some work off your hands. I know you got a lot of other stuff going on with the show. So I can just start to edit the Captain's Log. And it started to do well. And I was, like, promoting it on my social media. And it was just a fun thing. And then it ended up going to where we filmed. I think we filmed probably, like, 25 or 30 of the Captain's Logs, like, shorts, which are featured in a lot of the episodes as well. And then from there it was like, I'm pretty decent at video production if you need somebody to like shoot and edit a lot of these episodes. And then now it's like we're working on it all the time. And I recently just started like being like the exclusive camera person for the episodes, which if you notice any recent visual improvements.
So basically, like Paul went from like starting out as an extra over a year ago on the show, and now he's like running the show with me.
Drake started from the bottom and he's at the top.
Yeah, I'm basically Lil Wayne and he's Drake.
Right. Yeah, we started from the bottom, and but it's great.
Yeah.
I think one thing that really drew me into the show was like Dallas's like commitment to the show. He had this vision for it, and he had a work ethic where like it was like Dallas had this vision. He's like, I want to do 10 seasons with 10 episodes per season. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, that's awesome. And then I really saw Dallas like independently, like putting in like a lot of work. And season 1, they shot like almost exclusively like on an iPhone. And like, I know how difficult that would be to like film on an iPhone. Just like the mental part of like, okay, we just have to film this. But to do 10 episodes on an iPhone or with of course, like more cameras and stuff like along the way. But just to do those 10 episodes for season 1 and just to make that commitment, I was like really intrigued by that. And I was like, yeah, he's clearly a super hardworking, like driven, motivated person with like a great vision for the show. So I was like, yeah, I'll do anything I can to help the show because I felt like it was a good like foundation to build from of like, people who are willing, like specifically like Dallas was really willing to like work hard on the show and continue and just kind of go through and keep filming no matter what. And I was like, dude, I'll do anything I can to help. I'll bring my camera. I'll edit. We can do stuff with like the Patreon. We can do some merchandise. Like we'll do some stuff on social media.
Yeah, I saw you guys have your shirt stuff and everything out. Your merch.
Yeah, Boy
Talk.
We've seen some pretty important peeps wearing your stuff.
Yeah, Dwayne Johnson, Selena Gomez.
You have like direct connections.
Yeah. It's a popular brand in LA.
Yeah. You guys text him all the time, I'm sure.
Yeah. He's trying to get on the show every week. And
we're just when we find something that fits,
I mean, you can't accommodate everybody. It's
no.
It is what it is. I wonder if you could take us, because I don't think people realize like how much really goes into creating and just like creating a show is one thing, but then filming a show is another thing, right? And I don't know if you've watched very many episodes of my show, but this is a fairly low budget show. I operate solely on Zoom.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one thing that's interesting to mention, especially with like the budget and like filmmaking strategy, like for your show, like BoyTalk, like we end up budgeting maybe like about $25 per week per episode
For now.
like for
Okay.
now, because like that way, like, so we are actually like, it's a profitable show in terms of like we're making money through the Patreon and merchandise. So, and then we intentionally budget like $25 a week so that we can be profitable. So like we'll never go out of business. And I noticed that in the beginning, Dallas was kind of like putting up a lot of money himself just to like fill the needs of what the show required. And I was like, hey, it's not really fair for me to be like, oh yeah, Dallas, like you just pay for stuff and we'll just show up. Like I was like that, you know what I mean? So then we created like a system to where like with the Patreon and the merchandise, we're fortunate enough to like make enough money through that to where as long as we're smart with our budget, like the show is profitable. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So now it's making like a little bit of money, but it's very scalable, and we see like a lot of future potential for it. That all we have to do is just keep rolling camera, keep releasing episodes, and it's inevitable that it'll keep growing.
And you just upload your show right now to YouTube, and then the same show to Patreon, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah, well, so we upload exclusively to YouTube at the moment, and then we do
Sorry, I
have
dogs in the background. If you heard those mini helicopters.
Oh, nice.
Oh no, we love dogs.
We love dogs.
Very big fans of dogs.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're exclusively on YouTube, but then we do have videos that are exclusive for our Patreons as well, if you join the Patreon page. And yeah, it's quite a process because I mean, in order for us just to keep the ball rolling, we kind of just have like these rules we set in place. Like for instance, with season 2, a new episode of the season's dropped on the 1st of every single month. We film every single Saturday, and if we're not filming, we're writing, editing. But mainly, we're working every Saturday and Sunday. And it's cool because we both work on set too. So we're bouncing around from different sets. So we're meeting a lot of actors that are our age, that are, like in their, I guess, adolescence phase of their film career, that are just really hungry and want to work. So we're always bouncing around. So we're always meeting a lot of people. So if you notice, there's all these different random kooky characters, and it's literally just people that we're meeting on set. And it's cool. So we're just expanding the network. And yeah, so we're dropping a new video on Tuesdays as well. BoyTalk Tuesday. We split up the episode, and we like post the individual skits. So it's a guarantee every Tuesday there'll be a new video, and then on the 1st of the month there's a new video, and then we film every Saturday.
Oh, that's fantastic. So if you could take us through like a little bit of a process, like a day in the life of filming a show, like from the writing part to getting people together to film, what does that look like for you guys?
I think I think like filming on the Saturday like starts on this Sunday. So like today we're going to just start moving everything, getting everything rolling for next Saturday. Like it's and then would you like to talk about that with like your process of like from Sunday all the way to Saturday?
Like how you start by writing the show, right? Like you start by like, where does it start? It starts with an idea, and then you.
Yeah, we kind of just have like a list of ideas or like skits that we know we're going to do, and they're just written down. And then we're like, all right, this is the day we're going to write down the skit. So then let's say we just have an idea for a skit. It'll mainly be on a Sunday or sometimes a Saturday, but we'll start with the skit. We'll know the points of where we want the skit to go. So then we'll just write the outline, then we'll dissect it, and then we'll just write the actual script. And then from there, we just need to decide, okay, what skits are we filming next Saturday? So then from there, we decide the skits, and then we decide all the characters. So then that part is then me reaching out to all the actors to fill up the spots. Once I fill up all the cast, I then send a blast email out to everyone, but like, hey guys, thanks for joining us. We're going to be filming this upcoming Saturday. And then I just attach the script to everyone. And then the Friday before the Saturday, we release the final details. And then, then we just film it. And then that Sunday, we do the same thing again.
And I love watching how you integrate different scenes into your show. Like, when you're saying you film solely on an iPhone at one point. Like, I know how, like, I don't even have an iPhone. I have a Samsung. I'm an Android bitch. So.
Oh my goodness.
An Android girl.
I'm sorry.
But I know how difficult that is sometimes to get like a good shot of something, like in terms of like the width of a scenery or like a close-up and zoom ins and stuff like that. And you guys are really good with like piecing together different scenes throughout your show. Like, it looks so professional. The editing is really, really well done.
This guy.
And yeah, it's amazing. You do such a great job. And like that must take you like there's a time investment in there. And when you're talking about one of the things that you loved about Dallas was his commitment to the show, it's so important to have a vision of the things that you want to do and where you want to go. And so when you think about investing your time and stuff like that, like where do you see the show going? I know you say you have like a 10 year, 10 season vision, but where do you see this going, hopefully?
We see the show eventually getting picked up by HBO and being an HBO comedy series. And, they just pay us a couple $1 million and we just keep making Boy Talk.
Yeah.
But now it's just on a larger network. Yeah.
Basically that. Regardless, it's going to be 10 seasons. Hopefully the sooner we can get picked up, the better. But the goal is to get picked up. And then once, we have a little bit more resources at our disposal, a little bit of a larger network of actors and whatnot, we can continue to make the show even better and better and better. But the great thing right now is that we are profitable, even though it's small increments at the moment. So regardless of whenever we may get picked up, we're still going to continue making the show. So the show is going to hit 10 seasons, and that's a guarantee. Yeah. But but the goal is to make the show as big as possible by the time we hit that final lap.
That's phenomenal. And then, so does one season last you the year, or how? Because for me, I'm on the second season now of my show, and I just automatically thought, well, I'll go year to year. I started a second season because I had somebody that left the show, so I just continued it myself, and so that was the date that I started the second season from. But I was just going to go from year to year, so January to January is basically my season. Does it work the same for you?
Well, I would say right now we're at a place with the seasons where it's like because it is like a time commitment with the editing. We're like, okay, we have to be like realistic about like how quickly can we get these edits done and they're good quality. So for us, like the pace was like one episode per month, which the episode started at 8 minutes and the previous one was 15 minutes. So we're slowly working our way up to about like a 22-minute episode. I think we'll get there like incrementally every single week and every single episode. But essentially, like, we found that a healthy pace for us was like one episode per month. And so basically, like a season would be then like 10 months because we would be doing 10 episodes. And then on the first of every month, we release a new episode. So that means that season 2 will conclude February 1st. And then our goal as well is to just roll right into season 3 and release the first episode of season 3, March 1st. And then we can just keep the momentum rolling. And then again, like that is just a very manageable pace. I think things could change if we decide to like slightly reformat the episodes to where instead of trying to go to 22 minutes, because that's like the length of like a 30-minute TV show would be a 22-minute episode. So then I think there's a strategy involved of like, okay, it could be an 11-minute episode. And then we could like, if we were to be in talks with the network about like a 30-minute spot on a TV network, then we could just double the length of the episodes, or we could essentially do 2 episodes to then fit that TV spot. But then for us, it's also like, it's manageable for our schedule. And I think if we were to, I do think there's a lot of like thought that goes into this because we could essentially, one of the questions I love to ask is like, how can we achieve like our 10-year goal in the next like 6 months or 12 months or 18 months?
I love that.
Yeah. So it's like, how could we get to season 10 of the show? And it could either take 10 years, right? Or how could we do it in like 3 years and still like, you know what I mean? Like, and we're almost like guaranteed to like break things along the way. You know what I mean? It's like move fast and break things. But I feel like through that strategy, it gets like a certain shift in the thinking of like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, how can we improve the quality of the show, improve like the efficiency of the show, and be more consistent with releasing our episodes? Because it would just be difficult to predict like in 10 years, considering we've been in the film industry for like 3 years, like to predict like, 10 years. But it's like, if we could accomplish that goal in like 3, 4, 5 years, I think then it gives us all the experience condensed into that those couple year period that we would still get in the 10-year period, but now we're getting it all, that entire education in 3 years. And then we're able to like continue to build and grow and expand to where maybe there's like, I can totally see like a Boy Talk, like feature films, animated series, maybe even like theatrical.
Animated series. Oh my gosh, that would be wicked.
Yeah. Boy Talk on Broadway.
Boy Talk on Broadway.
Boy Talk the musical.
Yeah. Like.
Boy Talk meets Hamilton.
Yeah.
Boy Talk versus Hamilton in the death match.
My fair Boy Talk.
Yeah. Boy Talk on the Roof. The Sound of Boy Talk.
The Sound of Boys. Just have a series of musicals.
Right. The Book of Boy Talk.
Driving Miss Boy Talk.
Yeah. Like
Mary Boy Talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. A Wonderful Boy Talk.
A Wonderful Boy Talk.
You know.
A Christmas Boy Talk.
Chains
You
to the
guys need
Giant.
a theme song, like a dedicated theme song.
Oh, we have a theme song.
Oh my God,
Alice's
yeah.
girlfriend.
You?
My girlfriend's a singer, and she met with this producer, and they made a song, and it'll be on our newest episode on the 1st of November, the official
sweet.
Boy Talk theme song.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I love what you said about giving yourself like timelines, because I don't know if you follow Elon Musk at all, but he said something very similar. He said, you know, if you give yourself 6 months to do something, it will take you 6 months. If you give yourself 3 years to do something, it'll take you 3 years. And that's the concept of that is so valuable, because you drastically reduce your lagging time, if it were, when you shorten your goals, you know, when you shorten the time in which to accomplish your goals. So I think that's so crucial. And if you can, like you said, get all that experience, a decade's worth of experience in a condensed amount of time, it's just going to help you with the next projects that you work on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I believe that's like, it's called Parkinson's Law, I believe, where it's like the amount of time you give towards something, that's how long it will take. So if you're like, same thing with like school, if it's like, oh, you have until, 3 weeks to finish this paper, it's like, you probably won't end up working on the paper until like a couple of days before, if not like the night before. You know what I mean? So like the teacher could have been like, oh, you've got, 3 days to do it, and it would take you the same amount of hours to complete the
kind
paper.
of that work under pressure kind of thing.
Yeah, and then I think it comes down to like our ability to like. I think Gary Vee even said this, what I thought was really good. He was like, your level of success will be determined by like the level of stress and anxiety that you can handle. You know what I mean? So it's almost like if we can just slowly turn up like the amount of, and kind of expand our stress tolerance to where we're able to like handle a lot of these like larger projects that are going on, and we're able to like handle the show very easily, even as it continues to expand. I think that's just beneficial for us to just learn and grow, even like personally, to like learn and grow, to be able to handle a lot of those obstacles and challenges, which we just welcome. Any challenges or obstacles, it's like they're amazing learning opportunities.
And that's so true. Getting your mind, it's a different mindset, right? Like seeing everything as, instead of stressful, exciting. I used to have a friend that anytime anything bad would happen, he would be like, "That's great. That's great." And everyone's like, that's not great. He's like, "It's great."
Right.
You see it as an opportunity, right? And he's like, "Here's a learning opportunity." Right?
Yeah, I mean, even like the pandemic, which was like clearly like regarded as like a massive tragic chain of events, like for us was an amazing opportunity, because you know what I mean, like things were, it's like a lot of like good things are created in like that chaos and that tragedy and uncertainty, and I feel like it's just about like being mentally in a place where you're like, if the challenges come, like you understand that there are opportunities for growth, you know what I mean? So like every time there is, any type of obstacle, like it's like the obstacle is the way, do you know what I mean? So it's like you just keep learning and growing through it. And I think for me, I think for Boy Talk to like really stay in business and succeed, I think we just have to keep filming. I think we just have to keep rolling the camera and uploading episodes. I like that, as simple as that. I think that's the key to success.
Yeah, I agree. I found that the same for me too. I thought at one point the show would not continue, and I just went both feet in and continued just to book guests and make shows and keep filming, and then got into sponsorships, and that's been really a wonderful experience for me, and never expected any of that to happen. And it's just kind of taken off and just done really wonderful things, and it's been so fun. And I think that's part of it too, is just having fun with what you do. If you're passionate about it and you have fun with it, it's not really a job, it's like a joy,
Yeah, I think Dallas is like a really good balance for me doing that, because I think I can get like really like kind of like have like my face in it too much, to where I'm just like, so, and then I feel like just Dallas is like, I mean, we work on the scripts together, but a lot of Dallas's ideas are just like so funny that it just completely like knocks me out of like this like state of like intense, you know, whatever.
Intense productivity.
Yeah, and I just like remember I'm like, oh my God, like what are we actually like filming? This is ridiculous. And it just like it resets. It really like resets like my, you know, everything, because I'm like, oh, I forgot like what we're filming like a priest with his sleeves cut off and he's going to kill demons. Like, you're like, just, why take it that seriously? Like, just, you know. So I think Dallas is a good balance to remember, like, have fun with it, keep it light, keep it silly, and that's why it's fun. That's why we're working on it. That's why we're putting in so much time.
And honestly, like, some of the funniest things ever is like you just write in like the ones that we've written and ones in the past. It's like you just write this ridiculous script, and it's just like the whole concept is just like this is so dumb. But then you actually like reach out to actors and you pitch them this, and they're like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And then they just show up, and then you're just like watching this thing that you wrote like come to life in front of you, and it's just like. And it's like so ridiculous. Like, for instance, we did a Father Renegade who's about this priest killing demons. And in the newest Father Renegade, he's like beating this demon. And he was like, our actor, Dustin Holcomb, was literally just like on top of this actress, like faking like he was beating her to death. And she was just like in full demon makeup.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's just crazy. It's just seeing that they just go from paper to life right in front of you. And everyone on set is like, literally just like, exactly like you said, everyone's laughing, having a great time. And it's like, you're just making this wacky stuff together, and it's exciting. And you know, it's like the people that you start out with and you form these relationships with, and then you can work with and have a great time, are the ones you're going to continue to work with. And as you continue to grow, you guys continue to collaborate together. And it's just an exciting journey that you guys all get to go on. And it's, you just want to keep doing it. And like we said, just got to keep every Saturday. We just got to keep filming, keep editing. As long as we keep doing that, we will continue to ride.
I want to talk a little bit about the Enrique Transglacious episode.
Oh yeah.
I watched that one and I was dying laughing. But I'm interested to know, like, how was it? What was the experience for you when you saw your first show up on YouTube? Like, what was that like for you to see it all come to fruition? The writing and then the filming, and then you see it posted on the show and you're watching your show on there, like that very first show. What was that like for you?
Oh man, it was kind of surreal. Like the very first BoyTalk one, after we made that and posted that, it was like it was like, because you know, you imagine all these different ways you can see the show going, because at that point, because like now the show's kind of established, so it's like kind of got the vibe of where the show's going to go. And I mean, it can completely change from what I think now, but there's a vibe there, and you get the idea of the show. But when you post episode 1, it's like, that's just one episode. So it's like the show can literally just go anywhere. So it was just really exciting to see it. And then, because it was a different kind of comedy back then too. And then just imagine all the different ways that the show is going to go. It's like starting a new chapter, you know, like you're moving to a new town. You're like, what is about to happen in my life? You know, like you don't even know. There's so many different possibilities of where your life can go. And that's how it felt when we did BoyTalk's episode 1. And it's just crazy to see where it went. Because I mean, if you compare episode 1, season 1 to season 2, episode 6, it's like those are 2 completely different shows.
Do you think it'll evolve in any way with like the characters that you have? Like, do you think it'll evolve from being a certain type of comedy to a different type of sketch with the people who you work with? Yeah,
so that's actually funny that you mentioned that. So the current format of BoyTalk is kind of like, imagine it as a TV channel. Mm-hmm. And in that TV channel are a bunch of different mini shows. You know, like you have the Father Max Renegade, Captain's Log, Ming Chow, and then the hosts. So it's like all these different shows on a network. And moving forward into season 3, what we're going to start doing is we're going to try to run it as a real show. So we're pretty much going to have everything be based in the host universe. And we're going to integrate the characters from their own shows, some of them, into the host universe. We think that might be a little bit easier to follow along with the storyline and everything. But so the format,
like a modern day soap opera kind of thing. Like you could just tune in anytime and know where you're at.
Yeah, heavily inspired by soap operas, because I've been working on The Young and the Restless, which is a soap opera, and I just think it's like, but one of the things that they do really well is like their quantity of content. Like they have such a high volume of content, and it's just like, yeah, especially if we're filming like one day a week and we want to release episodes consistently, like we've got to find a strategy that allows us to be able to be producing a lot of episodes without having to invest thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours to get one episode. So it's like, how can we really streamline that process? So to your point about like, you know, if we see the show like continue to evolve, like it's guaranteed that the show is going to continue to evolve, because every single time we go on film, we're making more mistakes, and then we're correcting our mistakes, and then through that we're like evolving. So it's just as like, I mean, we're basically like these entrepreneurs that are like starting from scratch, being like, how do you operate a TV show? Like, how does that work? And then we're just figuring it out just by, you know, diving in and just learning to swim.
That's so awesome. How was that experience working on this soap for you? I'm sure like a lot of tips and tricks that you learned there are really beneficial for you now.
I think what's funny, yeah, I mean, it's, of course, I think any film sets, we both of us work a ton on film sets, so I feel like you just like pick up little things here and there that they do. I think specifically I just noticed that like they're so organized with it, and they're so well scheduled, and everything just flows smoothly. And another thing is as well, like one thing that's currently going on in the film industry was like we just averted a strike from all the film crews. We're about to strike.
Because, yes, I saw that. Yes.
Yeah, scary. Whew, dodged a bullet.
So one thing I noticed from the soap operas that we like to do with BoyTalk as well is like, we know it's on a Saturday. Like we don't want people to have to come and work a 12-hour shift on their Saturday, right? So it's like, how can we in, you know, 3, 4, 6, 8 hours, like get all the scenes that we need, work with the actors for a couple hours for their scenes, create like a good experience for them, without having to go like, you know, 12 hours where people are like tired and hungry and it's hard.
And so I think that was probably the crux of the issue, right? Was that for the strikes was the treatment and the labor.
Long hours,
yeah.
So we couldn't have them working like 14-hour days all week, and then they come work a 15-hour day for us.
Right. So it's just keeping that in mind, especially because everyone's like volunteering to be on the show. For the most part, everyone's just like, hey, like, I'd like to be in the show. So knowing that people are just, you know, everyone's like volunteering, everyone's helping out, everyone's pitching in, like we want to be really, really respectful of like other people's time, to be like, yeah, we don't want to work them for 8 hours knowing that they're just like, you know, volunteering. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, you need a Canadian on the show.
Yes,
we do. Yeah, we do. Fly out to Los Angeles. We'll write you in.
Yeah, we'll write you in.
Yeah.
One hundo. Let's talk a little bit about the Enrique Transglacious episode, because it was not what I expected. When I saw the title of that show, I thought, oh boy, this might be controversial. I wasn't sure where you were going with that, with the name, and then when I watched
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And then when I watched it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. So the premise, and then tell me if I'm wrong here, but the premise is that Enrique speaks to you guys through sort of the transcendental universe, and he comes through, objects.
Yeah. So, I mean, this was an idea that we were camping on for like over a year now. We thought of the Enrique Transglacious concept, and basically, so Enrique, in 1994, he transported his body into a light energy consciousness, and now Enrique Iglesias can connect and talk to you through any light. So if you're by any light source, he just blinks, and it's always the same. It's 2 blinks, then 2 more, then 1 more, and that's how you know it's Transglacious.
And he's partnered with the CIA as well.
He's such a big help in cracking the case, right?
Yeah.
That's so funny. So do you guys have like favorite spots that you like to film? And because I noticed, so for example, in I think it was that episode actually, you panned over to you were outside in an alleyway, and there was like cop cars there and stuff, but was that a scene that you took, or did you actually have like the cop cars available to come and park there for you? Like, how does that all work with the scene setups?
The cop cars were just B-roll footage. Like we'll do, you know what I mean? Because it really blends in though. You know what I mean? Like when you watch the episode, you're like, wow, like the production value of this is pretty impressive. But like meanwhile, we're shooting it in Dallas's backyard, right? Like, but like, and then if you look like, and there's a spot on the ground where like we took white tape and made like the cutout of like a real body. Right. That's just like late. Like what happened? Like who knows? Like. And then you see like the police officers, like the one
With
police
the
officer.
cut off shirt.
Yeah. Luke has like a cut off shirt. He looks like he's like a 12-year-old like Boy Scout sheriff.
Yeah, he's like a park ranger.
He is like a park ranger, but like everyone's playing the characters like really straight and serious. Like this is like a really serious crime that we're solving with like Enrique Transglacious, and like everyone, you know what I mean? Like I think we hit like a certain sweet spot with that one because it was like everyone was like really in it and everyone's like really invested in like the story. Yet like the context of it is like Enrique Iglesias, he's now in immortal light consciousness, helping the CIA to solve crime in New York, and like he's just like, and then we're all like really playing it like it's really real. Like it's just it reaches like this certain level of like stupidity that you're like, yeah, like it's just so ridiculous. But I think it's that type of stuff that like just totally takes the edge off and is like, oh my god, like this is the script that we're filming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like let's do it. Let's film it.
That day in particular was like hilarious, just filming that.
I bet. That's kind of what I try to do too. I just kind of try to give people a giggle, a little bit of a laugh. Like some of the shows I when I rewatch them, because I tape the shows like in advance, right? And they don't air till like a couple weeks later or whatever. And then when you go back and you watch the shows, you're like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Like what?
Yeah. What was it? What were we thinking?
Right, but I think that's what's good about like the high volume of like releasing a lot of content is like we know we're gonna make mistakes. Like it's like guaranteed that every time we film, like not like we're going to just intentionally mess things up, but like we just know that along the way we're gonna be like, oh, we didn't light this scene well enough, or we forgot, we didn't put enough makeup on Bloody Mary's face, so when she was getting punched, it was like dried blood already, and she's like, it should be fresh. But like some really simple things like that, and like just through the high volume of it, we're able to just keep rolling through because we're like, okay, great, we made that mistake, but too late. We're gonna upload the episode, and then next time we're gonna make sure that we get it right.
Yeah, and sometimes some of those little mistakes, like when everything's not perfect, it almost kind of adds a little bit of flavor to the show, adds a little bit of character, because when things are too perfect, you don't see kind of like, there's a different interest factor when you watch things back and you notice little things, you're watching for it, you know what I mean? So you're a little bit more visually invested in the show. So sometimes those things, not everything has to be perfect all the time, right?
Yeah, it's got to have that little like sprinkle of like just dumbness and stupidity.
You said the code word, sprinkles.
Oh, sprinkles. Oh, that is.
Whoa, nice.
Oh, great.
What do we win?
Well, I don't think it's a good sign. I think that was the emergency code word.
that was the banana bread was abort mission.
Yeah, that was the abort mission word. But we're not aborting this mission just yet. I didn't realize. Yeah.
What happens now?
Gold flakes fall from the ceiling, and
yes.
You get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car.
We're gonna win some cars.
A couple new cars. I'll take a Benz.
Yeah, we'll take some new vehicles.
Do you find you're like super critical of your work too? Because sometimes I feel like that too. I feel like, oh, I get off a show and then I'm like, oh, I feel like I was low energy, or I feel like I didn't deliver, or I feel like the guest wasn't happy with it, and then I watch it back and I'm like, what was I thinking? This is great. Like it's too self-critical. Do you guys get like that too?
100%, 1,000,000%. But one of those, it's kind of like maybe it's just like self-critiquing, like your own acting performance. And I do that a lot, but then it's like Paul said, it's like, we're pumping out so much content. It's like one beautiful thing about that is you don't even have time to get like insecure or double think your former performance. Cause you're like, all right, we're filming again in a week. It's time to get ready for the next performance. So, and that's another good thing about the repetitions. It's just like, okay, I watched myself. I saw something I maybe didn't like. Good thing we're filming in 6 days. I now can just continuously film, watch, critique, judge, reevaluate, do it again. And just like this never ending cycle of watching yourself and just slowly getting better and better. Literally just training yourself and watching yourself. It's really interesting.
That's awesome. And I wanted to just go back a little bit, if I could, on the timing of the episodes. You were mentioning the 22 minutes, which is like the crucial point, right? Because that's like a real half-hour show. It's actually 22 minutes. Have you guys thought about doing commercials, like for your show, and making it like a half-hour show?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. That would be interesting. I think, well, we are starting to feature commercials in the show with our Patreon and our merchandise as well.
Yeah.
Because we feel like it's, how else are people going to know that we've got this Patreon and that we've got merchandise as well?
Mm-hmm.
I think it just depends on like how long, like, would we want to put ads in our own, unless we made the ads like really entertaining. Like if it was like a sketch that was also promoting like an actual tangible product, I think that would actually make a lot of sense.
Or if like, perhaps we got like a sponsor or like a company wanted it, like was collaborating with us, we could do our own little commercial spot in the YouTube show. I would imagine, once we get to the point of being picked up, I mean, obviously they'll just have commercials, but at this point, I mean, if we were to open a collaboration with another company, that would honestly be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. And I love that you said when you get picked up, not if.
Uh-oh.
I love that.
It's frozen.
Yeah, I love that you said that when you get picked up and not if you get picked up. I love that knowing, that planning for the future.
Oh, it's only a matter of time. I mean, we just consistently keep going. We also have these BoyTalk cards. I don't have any on me right now.
I do. I have some on me.
So these BoyTalk cards, we each have them. And since we're both on set so much, there's a QR code. And we're consistently by other actors, producers on set. So every time I'm on set, I'm like talking to people. And I almost like strategically bring up BoyTalk. I'm like, oh, what do you do anything besides, on set? What do you like to do? And they're like, oh, I do blank, blank, blank. What about you? I'm like, oh, I have my own show, BoyTalk. Here, take a card. And then I get a card, and there's a QR code that takes you to our YouTube page. And so then we're on set. So then we're talking to producers, assistant directors, PAs, all different forms of film industry people. And we're just like spreading these cards. And, maybe you'll get like one subscriber out of every 5 cards you get. But regardless, we're going on different sets and people are knowing BoyTalk. We're wearing BoyTalk merchandise on set. So it's like, and we're consistently collaborating with new actors and film industry people that we're meeting on set. So we're just like spreading these webs all throughout Los Angeles. And as long as we keep going every Saturday, if we keep committing to the every Saturday thing, keep delivering cards, keep working, keep getting the show better and better, it's just a matter of time before it happens. Hopefully sooner than later. But another beautiful thing is that regardless, we're going to just keep going. Oh, and we get new sweatshirts now too. Check it out.
You got the merch going on there?
Sweatshirts.
Nice. That's the long sleeve.
Yeah, it's a hoodie.
Perhaps you should try it on.
Everybody loves hoodies. Well, everybody in Canada loves hoodies, so.
Yeah, they needed this in Canada. We
needed one that'll be like this, and it'll say Canadian edition.
BoyTalk.
A little Canadian leaf, a little maple leaf on the bottom.
But it's like 75 degrees, so.
Yeah, it's a little hot.
A little hot for a sweatshirt.
I love that. So I can tell that you guys are really, really passionate about, everything you do. How did you get into the acting and get into doing what you're doing? Because you ventured out into a little bit of accounting, and that was like a no-go. But so how did you get into like figuring out, okay, acting is what I want to do?
Oh man. Well, I'm from North Dakota, and growing up, there's not a lot to do in North Dakota. So I spent a lot of my time just like watching movies, literally from like 0 to 18 watching movies. I would be looking up IMDb, looking up all the actors, like, oh, this actor played in this movie with this actor. And just like, I was just obsessed with the film and TV industry. And in college, I did a play, and I auditioned for it just because a friend said like, you should audition for it because he was going to be in it. And then I auditioned for this like 40-person musical, and then I ended up getting the lead role. And I was just like, whoa. So I kind of took that as a sign. And then after college, I went backpacking for 3 years, and I was living in Australia and New Zealand. And, after experiencing 3 years of like just crazy outback Australia, I was like, it was, the most exciting thing I've ever done in my life. And I couldn't even imagine going back to North Dakota and living a North Dakota life. And I was, the confidence I gained from traveling made me think like, I really enjoyed, I've always wanted to be an actor and really enjoyed that play. And I kind of thought about, the fact that I auditioned for that play and I got the lead role. And it was really interesting because I wanted to pull the trigger and move to LA and just pursue acting. But it was a really scary thing to do, But I figured I spent 3 years by myself on the other side of the world, and I made it happen. And what I did was I was working at this vineyard in New Zealand. And I had about 2 months left in New Zealand. And I went on this Facebook page for like New Zealand films, and I found a New Zealand film, and they were looking for casting for it. And I reached out to them and I tried to schedule an audition, and I got an audition. And regardless if I booked this role or not, I wasn't going to be able to do it because my visa was ending. But it was like a test for myself. And I was like, if I book this role, this will be a sign that I just need to pull the trigger, move to Los Angeles and figure it out. Mm-hmm. And I got a bus. I took it was like a 5-hour bus ride. I stayed in this town. It was Wellington, and I stayed in a hostel overnight, went to the audition and did the audition, long story short, and I booked the part. And I was like, it was insane. I was like, oh my God. And I reached out to him like, sorry guys, I can't, do this film. I could go back to America. But then immediately booked my flight for Los Angeles, got back to North Dakota, got a car, packed everything in my car and just drove here. And now I've been in the Los Angeles film, rat race, I guess you could say, for over 3.5 years now. And about a year and a half in is when I met Paul, and then BoyTalk, Man of Action, and then all that started out. But the first year and a half was just trying to figure out exactly how do you even, because when I first got here, it was like, how do you even be an actor? How do you even start this journey? And it was just, honestly, if I give anyone any advice, just start taking acting classes and asking questions. And then before you know it, you figure out this, go there, do that, talk to this person, and boom, boom, bam. But that was my journey.
Mm-hmm. And I'll follow up his journey with my journey as well. And so for me, it started when I was 16. I was just in the suburbs of Pennsylvania, 30 minutes south of Philadelphia. And me and my buddy Phil, he had a little camera, and he was a skateboarder. So a lot of the kids who skated would film skate videos. Right? I didn't skateboard, but he had this little camera that would flip out to the side like this.
Yeah. And
we went and we filmed the video, and I was like, wow, this is really fun. And then we filmed another video, and I was like, yeah, this is hilarious. And then eventually more of our friends were like, oh, this is funny. And we just started incorporating more and more people. And then by the time it was my senior year of high school, I remember we did this big project for the movie Beowulf, or for the book Beowulf. And it was this, and we literally, it was 4 days. It was a high school, English class project, but we did 4 days of filming. And it was, for me, it was 20 some hours of editing with all these visual effects. And I had a dragon flying in and all this stuff. And everyone else's videos were these 2-minute videos in someone's basement where they would all have blankets on as things. We had my friend's mom actually made costumes for all of these people. You know what I mean? So we had these medieval costumes for everybody. We really went hard with this production. And then I played it for my English class, and my English teacher, Miss Gicking, she was like, Paul, if you don't do something, she watched the video and the class was like, dude, you tried way too hard, and just. You didn't have to do that much for this project. But my English teacher was like, Paul, if you don't do something with film, you're doing a serious disservice to yourself. Mm-hmm. So I really took that to heart. That was a really turning point for me, where I was I then went to my parents and was like, hey, I want to go to film school. And eventually I want to move to, Los Angeles and be this Hollywood movie director. And my parents were like, yeah, go for it. So then I went to film school at Temple, and then ended up graduating with a degree in film and media arts, moved out here, and just still shooting films. And I feel and then so far, the journey with BoyTalk has been a really, really good, a good partnership, a good collaboration, to where it's if you just keep filming, eventually you're going to get these great opportunities, get to work with great actors like Dallas and a lot of other people with BoyTalk as well. And I think BoyTalk's going well because his, Dallas's vision for it and my vision for it, there's a lot of alignment with things that we can work together to help both of us achieve goals. So yeah, it's just going well, and I feel we're just I really feel we'll be the big names that you hear about in a couple of years of these new up and coming people who are doing really well and have good content, and then who knows, over the course of into our 40s, 50s, 60s, it could just be just massive success in the film industry.
I love it. I love that, and I love that you have that vision for yourself and you're dedicated to that. And so now that we know that your show is going to be a massive success, and it's going to be on basically multiple networks, because once one has it, they all fight for it. If people ask you, what are your favorite shows to binge watch, what would you say?
I just binge watched Squid Game.
Same. I literally just finished.
I have not seen that yet. Is it good?
Oh my God, it's so good. You need to watch it today, all of it.
Every episode.
I love. I'm a big fan of Good Girls. Have you seen Good Girls on Netflix?
No, I haven't seen it.
No, I haven't seen it. What's Good Girls? What's that about?
So it starts off with these group of friends, these 3 women, 2 are sisters, and then this friend, and they start off by they rob a bank, and then they sort of kind of through that experience get involved with this guy who's sort of like in an underworld kind of scene, does a lot of like uh, underhanded trades and things like that, and they become these hardcore criminals, like, but they're everyday moms, and like they go
They
to
don't sound like good girls.
but it's such a good show, and there's 4 seasons out now. I think there's one final season coming up, season 5. Such a good show. Christina Hendricks is in it. Rena Wilson. So good. We have to watch that. I love that show. But also Manifest. Have you watched Manifest?
I haven't seen Manifest.
I know of Manifest. I've not seen Manifest.
What? Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah.
We make more TV than we watch, I think.
Sorry?
Well, I think we make more shows than we watch.
Yeah, that's true.
Funny. It's a funny.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we were gonna do a little roundtable pitch here, and I don't know if you guys are prepared for that. We're gonna pitch a show, any random show. So do you want to go first, Dallas? Just any random show. Just pitch it as if it were a real show, and we are the audience. We are the producers.
Like a show, any random, like a made up show.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So there's a dude, and he's a surfer. However, he's a surfer who has diabetes. So this diabetic surfer, and the year is 1965. And he's so passionate about surfing. And then it comes to his attention when he's visiting his doctor that his diabetes has reached a point where he has 6 months to live, or his diabetes is gonna take him out. Right now, limited by the year 1965. He's, there's no cell phones. There's no quick access to things. He's a man in the 65 that has to figure out what he's going to do with the rest of his 6 months. However, luckily for him, he's invested heavily into the stock market. So his funds are super high. So this man has resources that not many of the average people have. So you got this rich surfer, diabetic man, and he lives in San Francisco, by the way. And he now has a bucket list. He has a bucket list of things he wants to do. Now, in the first episode, what happens is he's trying to knock off the first thing off of his bucket list. And his first thing is to rob a bank. So he robs a bank. However, he doesn't realize that the person who owns the bank also has an underground mafia. Ooh. So he robs the bank. He gets away with it. Little did he know he got tailed by the mafia. Now, as we go into the next episode, episode 2, he's going to do his next thing on his bucket list. Little does he know, not only does he only have 6 months to live, but now he also has the mafia tailing him. And our episode 1 ends with him kissing his mom goodbye. And we see that the mafia is taking pictures of him at his mom's house. So the mafia now knows about his mom. He's got 6 months to live. He's got a bucket list. Mafia's after him. It's called Surf's Up.
Ooh, and scene. I love it. Paul?
So here's an idea. My pitch will be much shorter than Dallas's, but it would be like ideally it would be like a Netflix limited series. It would be like 8 episodes, and it would be about how Sasquatch is an employee for the FBI, and he works in the FBI, and he works at the FBI, and his goal is to delete all the info about Sasquatch existing so that the Sasquatch can exist in peace, so that whenever people are going, Sasquatch is constantly behind the scenes in the FBI deleting data about Sasquatch so that him and his family can live in peace.
Ooh, very interesting. What's it called?
I don't know what it would be called yet. It would be called something like Sasquatch hunting or something. But it would basically be like the Sasquatch constantly, like there's just all these hunters who are trying to kill him, and he's in the FBI and he constantly needs to like erase the data to leave no trail.
Ooh,
like a double agent almost.
Yeah.
How would he not be recognized at the CIA because he's like covered in hair?
But he'd be in with the FBI. Like he works for the FBI.
But they know he's Sasquatch.
Yeah, the FBI knows that Sasquatch is real. Yeah. But they want to protect
Maybe
his
he has like
identity.
an invisible blanket that he throws over and stuff when he.
Well, I think it could
He's
be
a
like
wizard.
he could be almost like how you can't kill like praying mantises and stuff. You know what I mean? It's like illegal because they're like
Yeah.
sacred creatures.
Like, we don't know how many of these we got.
Right. So the FBI wants to protect the Sasquatch as well, but the Sasquatch is like very intelligent, so he works for the FBI as well.
Interessante. Those are both shows I would watch. I don't know if you'd watch this one, but my pitch is this girl who's, you know, a really famous cake maker. She makes these really beautiful, extravagant cakes. And one day she goes into her bakery and just like any other ordinary day, and all of a sudden one of her cakes looks a little different. And so she does a further exploration to find out that there is a bomb inside this cake. And it has to go to a specific destination. She has been unknowingly recruited by the underworld. And the only thing that's going to stop this bomb from exploding is for her to keep an adequate amount of frosting on this cake. And so she has to make sure it doesn't melt, it doesn't get scraped off while she's in her travels to take this bomb to the destined location. It's insane, boys. It's insane. Episode 2, she runs out of frosting. What's going to happen?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. What's it going to be called?
It's going to be called Baker's Bomb.
Baker's Bomb. Nice.
Yeah.
I've watched the pilot.
I love it. Well, rumor has it you guys have a tip of the day. So let's get Boys Talk tip of the day.
I would say the tip of the day is keep rolling. You know, if you're a creator, if you're doing anything with films, keep rolling the camera, keep editing, keep uploading, keep rolling.
I love it. Well, why don't you shout out everywhere people can find you? Just promote the heck out of yourselves. Go for it.
So you can find me. I'm at Paul Kruger Films, but I feel like, and then Dallas is at Delegation on Instagram. But also, you can find us on YouTube, BoyTalk Studios. Search BoyTalk Studios.
BoyTalk Studios. BoyTalk Studios. BoyTalk Studios.
BoyTalk Studios. On Instagram at It's BoyTalk.
At It's BoyTalk. Instagram at It's BoyTalk.
It's BoyTalk.
It's BoyTalk.
It's BoyTalk. ITS BoyTalk.
ITS BoyTalk.
It's BoyTalk.
It's
BoyTalk.
Okay. And then Patreon?
Patreon.com/BoyTalk.
BoyTalk. And then
BoyTalk. BoyTalk.
BoyTalk.
BoyTalk. And then your merch?
Merch is patreon.com/store, STORE/BoyTalk.
It's actually represent.com/store/BoyTalk.
Represent.com/store, STORE/BoyTalk.
Well, thank you very much, Paul and Dallas from BoyTalk, for joining me today and co-hosting. I had a blast. I hope you had fun.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I had a good time.
Of course.
Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll do it again before you guys get, Oscar famous. Remember the little people,
You got a couple of days still. That happens.
My count's 6.
Everybody make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. And if you haven't heard it yet and you haven't written it down, it's BoyTalk.
Boom!
Have a great week, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye. Thank you.